let's go through the build process of something at this level. Some of you might have already gone through this, some of you haven't. Some of you might have gone through it well, some of you might have done it badly. So, which comes first, the land or the house? Do you go and pick the house you want to build? You know, the builder you want to build through, and then go and find a piece of land to put it on? Or do you get the land first and then go and get the house to build the land? On the land. Put your foot on it. Look, I think what comes first is the market you're going into. Which is, you know, are you buying into a Bly equivalent? Or are you buying in, no one's going to go and buy Bly now, or are you buying into the Ponds equivalent? I'm not saying that, but I just picked a flat market and a modestly moving market. And they're really those two markets. So what are you moving into? Because I think that's what you've got to decide on first. You've got to look at the dynamics of the area that you're going into. What's your raw cost and what's your sale? And what's the money in between? Because that, you know, the difference between those is your profit. So you've got to select the market first. Once you've selected the market, you've then got to select the land size that is appropriate for the market. Because in any one of those estates, you might be able to go in and buy a slightly bigger one, do a subdivision, and get two. So now your land cost is now halved. So then that's the next stage. So the market comes first. Then the land, and the land for the size, for the dynamics, for what sells best. And you're always constantly looking ahead. What sells? Where's my value? Because whether you hold or not all comes down to design. So think ahead. What's selling? What's selling? What's selling? Should you use a project builder or an independent builder? I don't have a huge preference either way, provided you can get enough differentiation between your product and the one 3 doors down. Now that can be done, or with the independent builders, that you can get your cost efficiency the same as perhaps some of the bigger project stuff. So I don't have a huge bias either way. Both can work in this field. If it's all about the money, get the quotes, compare like with like is really important. So you make sure when you're looking at you know, comparing this builder with that builder, whether they're two projects or whether it's an independent and a project, make sure you're comparing the same things, right down to you know, their time frames, their framing, their roofing, their fittings, their slab thicknesses, how many light switches, whether their finishes in their bathroom are plastic or whether they're you know, they're ceramic and all that stuff. Make sure that you're comparing the same things when you're getting quotes on this kind of stuff, and make sure that from a sale perspective, looking back, that you go, you know, the high Italian stuff. You know, the really top-end tiles and tap fittings, etc. In some markets, that might be the norm, whereas in other markets, it won't be. So you've really got to match your style to the market you're selling into. Check your. So when you check your, so you look for you look at the previous work. You've got to check out their time frames and how long they actually you know, take to build this kind of stuff, because time is money in this. It definitely is. Check your insurances. Just Google them. Absolutely Google them. See what other people are saying about them. Check out the state authorities that they need to be registered through, and look at who, you know, what's being said about them. Have they had any complaints lodged against them? Go and talk to contractors. You know, find out whether they're getting paid. Find out whether they get paid on time. Find out how they feel about actually working with that particular builder. Check how many properties they own and who owns them and what names they're in. We'll do a little bit more on construction and building contracts tomorrow. We'll go into that in a lot more detail. But that's you've got to do your analysis and due diligence on what you're actually doing. You're not building a dream home. You're building something that is either going to rent for positive cash flow, or you can sell at a premium price. The best price you're going to get in that market that you're selling into. Where's the most profit? So what do? We select a builder. And that whole process there takes quite a substantial amount of time. Going in, checking out, looking at stuff, getting quotes, face-to-face, dealing with them, all of that kind of stuff, or over emails, etc. It's a process that is important for you, because you've got to become comfortable with who you're putting on the job, and that you've got to know what you're going to get. And the best way to do that is to look back at what they've done in the past. Select your design. Now, efficiencies, Dulux obviously better if you're going to keep it, or even for resale it can be better. Try and get some differentiation in your design. Again, we're going to be talking more about design this afternoon. Make any changes to the standard plans and your design, that you're getting. So you got your basic plan. Your changes, I must say, be careful with, because once you start changing a builder's standard plans that he works to, you're creating a level of difference from what he's done in the past that can add cost, and particularly the project builders, just adding extra PowerPoints can dramatically change your costings. And make sure that once you don't sell yourself on somebody through this process. You get your heart set on somebody, and then by the time you got the plans that you actually want, the price has gone up 60 grand. Because of your changes. Remember, you're not living there. We're not talking building a house for you to live in. We're talking about building a house that's going to make you money. So you've got to think, okay, if I had an extra PowerPoint in this room, would it sell for more? Would it rent for more? And honestly, the answer's probably going to be no. It's not. It's more about the big things. It's more about the flow of the place and the layout and the design and that kind of stuff. That's what's important. And how spacious something feels when you walk through it.
When I met Cody, he'd already bought a house, which was actually a really good buy, and that got us into our PPR. And since then, we've bought a couple of other properties, which has been good, using the strategies that she's taught us, all the boot camps that we've been to.
The biggest change would be just looking at property in a different light, more making the numbers work for me, rather than buying a house and hoping the market will go up. So focusing a lot on yield and stuff like that, positive cash flow, and didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, we've told lots of our friends and family to come along. We've learned so much from coming along to those courses. The knowledge that we've gained, the access to some of the professionals has been fantastic, and it's also been really, really good for networking. The people that we've met and the things we've learnt from them, and the networking is incredible, so definitely come along.
It's definitely a must do if you're replacing income and looking at all the strategies that she teaches. It's life changing.